putting some of these things to practice, you also work with organizations. How is this work with patterns going to help in an organization that when you go in? How does that work?
Everything, a mandate of any living system is to express its underlying dynamics. Whether it's a plant, there's certain ways a plant, a rose, a hibiscus, a fuchsia, there's certain ways it has to come out to be authentic to its nature. People are the same, and I've begun to find that organizations are the same. Organizations are built on certain premises. You have a conscious premise, which is we have a mission statement, but there's something underneath it. And I've begun to consult one government agency up in Canada and a number of different groups. And what I try to do, my work is uncover what is the underlying drama of this system.
For good or ill?
For good or, just, that's what I'm saying, underlying pattern. Patterns are not good or bad, it's how they're used. And when you can understand it, like here was one organization, they were trying to develop a sense of continuity and all this, and the leader of it, it could be pulled by the government within any given day and could be asked to leave. It was never talked about. It was never discussed. It was like the elephant in the room. So what I do is I articulate these dramas, and then you begin to see what can we then anticipate. If this is a drama today, where is it likely to go if left unattended? And it's very, very productive and useful.
And what about, you know, patterns? You also work with public policy and patterns. I mean, is there a pattern that our nation has now? I mean, you talk about patterns in Bensonhurst that you saw as a little boy. You know, how does seeing our cultural or our national drama or stories help us out?
Well, you know, the big picture is that everything we do is an expression of some of a drama. Okay, that's a given now. Now, in terms of politics, for instance, I wrote about this and I gave a lecture years before Bush ever came into power, when he was just running for office. And I made a lot of predictions. And I have never really cared about politics. I got it, we didn't care much about politics. We cared about, and I still have that kind of temperament. But I was so compelled by the world events, and I made a number of predictions, and basically, they all came true. Such as we would have to be brought into war immediately, we would be alienated from other countries, we would be striving for a position of world supremacy.
Because?
Okay, and this is where the archetype came in. I said Bush is a father's son. Now there's myths and patterns and Bible stories of the father's son. When one is in that drama, there's certain inevitabilities. Before we talk about is this reductive or not, there are certain inevitabilities. One is if you're a father's son, and I'll say it, I think he's sort of a weak father's son. He's not up to the father's strength. He doesn't have the same compelling nature as the father. Not that the senior Bush was the greatest in the world, but he was a stronger man. You knew that the son would do anything and everything in his power to prove he really was worthy of the position. And in the lecture I gave, I said, with this need to prove himself as being a worthy father, which he really is not, he's going to make America pay and make so many innocent people pay for this by bringing us into war to prove his personal supremacy.
He's playing out his own drama.
Playing out his own drama. And this is what happens in corporations and systems all over the place. Now, this is not about Bush bashing. It's not the point. It's about reading patterns. And actually, I was contacted by the ambassador of a Central American country a number of years ago after hearing one of my lectures, and he said, would you come and work with us on a peace project? Because he said, our country's been at war for how many, 500, 600 years. We're losing thousands and thousands of people. The country is now on the verge of civil war. And he said, if you can maybe articulate what is driving these boundary disputes, which lawyers are not able to understand, politicians don't get, if you could look at what is the archetypal nature of this war. And, you know, we did a proposal for the Peace Institute and still waiting to find out what's going to happen with it. But people are beginning to see that there's another level of understanding and reflection that has to happen. It's not just about aggression. It's not just about supremacy. And as we talk about the pattern, it takes you over. And, you know, how many people are going to be drawn into people's, you know, this is grand scale.
Yes, indeed.